The weather forecast with Akendogas.
Hi ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to join me again on this edition of the weather forecast. I hope you are having an interesting weekend. It appears it's going to be a really humid weekend with heavy precipitation expected in most parts of the northwest, south and the Adamawa regions. We may have as low as 18 degrees in the west region, the center and east expecting a minimum of 21 degrees, and the northern far north regions would have temperatures as low as 25 to 27 degrees. Detailly, we take you over to the northwest, where this evening heavy rainfall may dominate the entire region, and this experience may progress till morning with as low as 15 degrees in Kumbu. Next, we take you over to the south region, where this evening heavy rainfall may dominate all the major towns, and this will progress till morning with as low as 21 degrees in Ebolova. Lastly, we take you over to the Adamawa region, where this evening there may be heavy rainfall except for the town of Minganga, and heavy rainfall will progress till morning in the entire Adamawa region. To protect yourself and others against the coronavirus, keep a 1 meter distance with everyone, avoid greeting by handshakes, and in case of symptoms, call 1510. Have a good night.
Pupils of examination classes and students can now resume classes on June 1 without fear. Prime Minister Joseph John Gute guarantees the strict respect of health measures for the effective completion of the school and academic years. School authorities embark on fierce operations to sanitize school premises, provide sufficient running water and sanitization material to protect learners and instructors. The distribution of face masks is also planned. Over 1,000 persons test positive for COVID-19 in the economic capital, Douala. In spite of the distribution of sanitary kits by authorities, the alarming increase is blamed on the non-respect of health directives. Good evening and thanks for joining us. Those were the headlines of the 7:30 news. We begin our half-hour newscast with the head of government's declaration confirming the resumption of examination classes for the 1st of June. Prime Minister Joseph John Gute has outlined the measures taken by government to ensure the security of pupils and teachers, as well as the extension of barrier methods against COVID-19 for the next 2 weeks. Star Building correspondent Christian Cheatham presents highlights of the PM's declaration and says schools will resume under strict health prescriptions.
During his declaration on Friday, Prime Minister Joseph John Gute officially announced the resumption date for schools in Cameroon after over 2 months of suspension because of the coronavirus.
The President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya, has decided that the resumption of classes at all levels of education, as well as in professional schools and vocational centers, will take place on Monday, June 1st, throughout the national territory. I would like to point out, with regard to primary education, that this resumption concerns exclusively the pupils of Class 6 for the Anglophone subsystem and Cours Moyenne Deuxième Année for the French-speaking subsystem. As regards secondary education, the resumption of classes will be gradual, starting with upper 6th and terminal from the 1st of June 2020. As far as higher education is concerned, the programming of lectures, tutorials, and practical work will be carried out according to the flexibility specific to each university.
Joseph John Gute equally highlighted measures which have been put in place to ensure the safety of learners.
The cleaning and disinfection of the various establishments have begun and will be stepped up with the support of the specialized services of the Ministry of Public Health. In addition, at the behest of the Ministry of Scientific Research and Innovation, protective masks and hand sanitizers have been produced locally and made available to the administrations of the education sector. Other health kits have been distributed to schools, thanks to a special donation from the head of state.
The Prime Minister once more underscored the gravity of the COVID-19 pandemic and measures which have been put in place to ensure a better management of the disease.
The number of people testing positive for COVID-19 has risen sharply in recent weeks. This evolution is due, among other things, to the laxity in the respect of barrier gestures and to indiscipline observed among many of our fellow citizens. Meanwhile, the number of COVID-19 patients who have recovered their health is constantly rising. This is proof that the strategy implemented by the government under the impulsion of the head of state should be pursued.
The Prime Minister also announced the extension of measures taken previously to control the COVID-19 pandemic in Cameroon. Prime Minister Joseph John Gute ended with reassurances that the government is doing everything to ensure a smooth resumption of classes in the country.
Ahead of Monday's school resumption, the ministers in charge of higher education and secondary education have organized a joint press conference in Yaoundé. Communication Minister Rene Emmanuel Sadi, in the introductory statement, outlined that the carefully analyzed reopening aims at preserving the ongoing school and academic year. It was occasion for the three education ministers to unveil plans that will protect the economic community during the period. Gerard Nanji has the details.
To avoid the embarrassment of a cancelled school year, the government has taken measures to ensure the health and safety of students and pupils alike. Speaking during the joint press conference last evening, the Minister of Secondary Education, just like her colleagues of basic and higher education, were reassuring.
We want the schools to be free of the pandemic. We have given you the methodology that we are using to ensure that every child, every staff, member of staff of the schools, remember that the adults are even more vulnerable than the children. And yet we are making sure that everybody has all the rules that we're talking.
The government of the Republic reassures the educational community that the officials responsible for the various educational bodies are mobilizing themselves efficiently and optimally to ensure that schools reopen safely.
According to the Minister of State, Minister of Higher Education, Professor Jacques Famdongo, only 50 students will be allowed per classroom. He said e-learning, which ties with the new university governance policy, will operate site by site the classroom lectures. For his part, Professor Laurent Sech Etundingwa of Basic Education, like his colleagues, have called for the continuous collaboration of parents to enable their children complete the academic year without being at risk of contracting the disease. All of this was summarized in a statement by government spokesperson Rene Emmanuel Sadi, Minister of Communication.
Families with pupils in examination classes have begun rounding off preparations for the reopening build for Monday. While the pupils concerned are for the greater part putting their school items together, parents are making last-minute purchase for the stationery needed. Victor Siga visited some homes in Yaoundé and now reports on the effervescence.
Ocean is a troisième student in Government Bilingual High School Angisa in Yaoundé. 48 hours to school resumption for examination classes in Cameroon. The young student is into full-time preparations. From laundry to ironing, then sorting out her school items, Ocean relies too on her parents for a smooth start.
I'm happy to resume school. What matters is my exam. I'm going to respect just the barriers measures.
Elsewhere at the Ekunu neighborhood, Marie, a class 6 pupil, is excited to go back to school after 2.5 months of technical break.
I'm happy because I will write my common entrance and first school leaving certificate.
In as much as the students and pupils feel ready for school, some parents are still caught up in the uncertainty of this in the face of COVID-19.
We hope that the measures will be applied in school because we are scared scared. I'm afraid of the disease. I think they should check on the measures again.
There are those working to keep their children safe despite all odds.
I have taken all the measures at my level. I brought her face mask and hand sanitizer.
Education, yes, but safety first. With this in mind, they are pledging the strict respect of anti-COVID-19 measures in and out of school.
Parents in Ebolova in the South region are also ready to send their children back to school in spite of the coronavirus scare. Apart from providing their school needs, the children are being reminded by their parents on how to stay safe from the contagious virus. Physical distancing, the use of hydroalcoholic gels and the wearing of face masks are among the recommendations echoed. Bernice Atabong tells us more from the South.
Hours before schools reopen after a break due to COVID-19, families in Ebolova are getting their children ready for the unprecedented new term. In the Enangele family, 10-year-old Blanche Njessa has been advised on how to avoid COVID-19. Stay 1 meter from other people. Wash your hands regularly. Sneeze or cough in your inner elbow or in a disposable paper napkin. As schools resume in the middle of this health crisis, some parents are disturbed. They say, however, that they are sure everything will be fine. I have confidence in authorities that they will take good care of children. When schools resume, I will go there to make sure that the children are well taken care of. In the Esenge family, the close to 2-month break was beneficial. We studied very well. My objective now is to succeed in my exams while respecting hygiene rules. Parents in Ebolova are working hard towards ensuring that during this new term, their children study well while staying safe from COVID-19.
From the South region, at travel agencies in the nation's capital, Yaoundé, operators have intensified measures that will keep the coronavirus at bay. As the number of travelers slightly increased due to the back-to-school announced, passengers are not only expected to wear face masks, but they are also expected to respect hygiene measures. Romeo Nkenye has the details.
Passengers line up to book for a ticket at a travel agency in the Van neighborhood in Yaoundé. A majority of them are students returning to different towns ahead of this Monday's special school resumption. It is with great optimism some will be meeting their mates in school once more. In the midst of the current health crisis, the learners are becoming more conscious.
Students of University of Douala. I have my gel, I have my mask, and I hope that the institution take the measure to permit us to begin school very well.
I'm going to Douala. I have like 4 or 3 masks in my bag.
While travelers are busy with their to and fro movement, travel agencies owners claim they have taken all measures to bar the way to the dreaded pandemic.
Store some washing points. Yeah, before you come into the agency, we make sure you wash your hands. And we take your temperatures before you go inside. School are resuming, so at the moment we have mostly students. The prices are now on a moderate to enable everybody to travel back.
Students are not coming really as they used to be. So the few that are coming, we see that they wash their hands and we make sure that they wear their masks.
The imminent resumption of classes has generally revamped business in the transport sector.
At the University of Douala, preparations are heightening before the start of lectures as thermometers and disinfecting kits have been distributed to the institution. The rector of the university, Professor Magloire Ondwa, who initiated the move, underscored that the package, which also includes 1,000 face masks produced by the students, will be made available for learners. Jules Ndema has the details from the Littoral region.
140 thermoflashes and 58 sprayers have been distributed on the campus of the University of Douala. These materials will be used to disinfect amphitheaters, offices, corridors and all public spaces of the university. The initiative is that of the rector of the University of Douala, Professor Magloire Ondoa, with the objective to join the government fight against the coronavirus. This distribution takes place a few days to school resumption come June 1, 2020. 1,000 face masks produced on the campus by students of NSET will be made available to help facilitate the back to school after over 2 months pause. The university is thus ready to apply prescribed hygienic measures, among which wearing of face mask, constant hand washing, limiting contacts between students to assure a hitch-free back to school on Monday.
The Ministry of Secondary Education is assisting school officials in the 10 regions of the country to stall the spread of the coronavirus. The regional delegates were in Yaoundé to receive the consignment of anti-COVID-19 gifts intended to complete efforts done so far in their communities by persons of goodwill and municipal authorities. Lekiata Gertrude Asongazi has the details.
Over the gifts to the 10 regional delegates of secondary education, the Interim Secretary General Oyono Adams urged them to make judicious use of the sanitation kits.
This gift has to go straight to our students and to our teachers. So regional delegates have been instructed to handle it. Not only these gifts, but all the gifts coming from several agencies and partners who are involved in the educational process and who is supporting the government, such a way that our students and our teachers be safe.
Speaking on behalf of the beneficiaries, the delegates for the littoral region, Ejang Genji Giom, said the gift will come to complement what has been done so far by the MPs, mayors and other partners.
We really say thanks to the Minister of Secondary Education for the material that have been given to us. It comes to strengthen what has been done so far in the various schools.
The over 3,000 face masks and 1,000 liters of hydroalcoholic gel distributed by MINISEC were offered by the Ministry for Scientific Research and Innovation.
The education community in the Adamawa region has been seeking solutions to ensure the smooth resumption of schools on June 1. Cognizant of challenges such as the shortage of teachers, especially in private schools, and the non-completion of school fees, Governor Kildadi Tageke-Bukar reassured that actions will be taken to guarantee that all pupils take the final year exams, as we hear this report by Rekiatu Musa Jenge.
Amidst the increasing number of COVID-19 cases in Cameroon, the indicative date for school resumption has been maintained. Information from exposés of different education stakeholders in the Adamawa during the meeting shows that all is set for pupils and students of examination classes to resume, but for some challenges like scarcity of water, inadequate classrooms, lack of teachers in private institutions, given some students and pupils are still to complete their school fees, which is used to pay teachers.
So far, we are very set in Adamawa region. All the precautions are taken. We have enough kits to put at the disposal of the various schools. After this meeting, we are very convinced that the school will resume without any difficulties in Adamawa region.
It was revealed during the meeting that various councils and school heads have been disinfecting schools in their localities and producing protective face masks that will be distributed to students and pupils come June 1st, 2020. Governor Kildadi Tageke-Bukar called on the collective responsibility of parents, head teachers and principals to ensure the safety of kids as the government sets standards of good hygiene conditions for them to be able to take the risk.
Barring the way to the deadly pandemic is also one of the major concerns of the elected representatives of Kunki Division in the West Region. Honorable Albert Quinche and Honorable Colette Soeng both donated coronavirus preventive items to schools in the area as they prepare to open their doors on June 1. Calvin Nembo has the details.
Quinche and Colette Swang, two representatives of the people with a common objective, work in unison with educational stakeholders in the Kunki division to guarantee the safety of students and pupils who are preparing to resume classes amid the COVID-19 pandemic. They put together their resources, bought 26 water storage containers of 150 liters each, 25 cartons of soap, over 650 bottles of hydroalcoholic gels, plus 6,000 face masks handed over to heads of academic institutions of learning to arrest the pandemic. During the ceremony to distribute the COVID-19 preventive kits, the SDO for the Kunki, Donatien joined the divisional delegate for secondary education to express his profound gratitude to the donators for the timely humanitarian action. Honorable Albert Quinche on the occasion implored the beneficiaries to make good use of the kits and assured that he and his comrades will continue with such gestures till the coronavirus is arrested, killed and buried. COVID-19 is like an asymmetric warfare. Thus, prudence and vigilance remains the watchword, he cautioned.
With over 5,000 persons so far contaminated by the coronavirus in Cameroon, health officials are calling for the adoption of responsible behavior by citizens. They intimate that in order to limit the propagation of the virus, Cameroonians must protect themselves to protect others. In less than 24 hours, 254 new infections have been recorded, as Baldwin Sama tells us from the Public Health Emergency Operations Center. Hello, Baldwin. You tell us that news out there is not good at all.
Good evening to you, Esther Kiman. Welcome to the Public Health Emergency Operations Center this Saturday evening, where in as much as we have an increase in the number of Cameroonians who get infected with COVID-19 on a daily basis, we equally have an increase in the number of Cameroonians who recover from this virus. Thus, this Saturday evening, 127 Cameroonians have recovered from COVID-19. 245 Cameroonians got infected with COVID-19 and 6 Cameroonians died of COVID-19 this Saturday in Cameroon. And asked why this persistent increase in the number of Cameroonians who get infected on a daily basis, the answer is simple. We are told here that it is simply because more and more Cameroonians have decided to disrespect most of these outlined measures by the government to stem the spread of COVID-19 in the country, and that's why we have noticed this increase in the number of persons infected with the virus. And during the press briefing by public health experts of this emergency operations center this evening, they laid emphasis on one of the recommendations for the Prime Minister, head of government, during Thursday's cabinet meeting, which has to do with measures put in place so far by the government of Cameroon to guarantee a conducive environment for pupils and students who will resume with classes on Monday, June 1 this year, 2020. And they equally talked about the imminent collaboration between the Ministry of Public Health and the Ministries of Higher, Secondary and Basic Education to ensure that they make available some sanitary kits for pupils and students beginning Monday. That will go a long way to stem the spread of COVID-19 in the education milieu. And during the press briefing this evening, equally, they called on Cameroonians to be responsible enough, calling on Cameroonians to be each other's keeper, to ensure that you watch your closest neighbor, you watch your closest collaborator, your closest sibling, to ensure that he or she is in good health. And if you detect any symptom, any signs of COVID-19 from each such persons, don't hesitate to dial the toll-free number 1510 and report such suspected cases. And just to confirm to Cameroonians that the screening center opened by the Ministry of Public Health for civil servants and staff of parastatals in Yaoundé has gone operational. It started this Saturday with many Cameroonians, especially many civil servants, who turned out massively at the multipurpose sports complex, and they had themselves screened free of charge. And it's going to be the case for the next 30 days here in Yaoundé, the multipurpose sports complex that will welcome many civil servants and staff of parastatals who have themselves screened free of charge. The take-home message from here this Saturday, Esther Kima, is that 127 Cameroonians have recovered from COVID-19 this Saturday. 6 Cameroonians died of the virus, and 245 of them got infected with COVID-19. Back to you, Esther.
245 new infections in 24 hours. The coronavirus pandemic is quite a scare. And we take you to the littoral region where over 1,000 persons have been tested positive out of the 4,000 persons screened. Administrative officials have embarked on sensitization campaigns and the distribution of preventive material. And in spite of these efforts, the non-respect of barrier measures in public places still thrives. Dixon Ashu reports on the state of COVID-19 infections in Douala.
This is Douala, Cameroon's economic hub and the country's most populated city. Here, the talk of COVID-19 pandemic is almost in every mouth, and many hold different opinions of what it is and the health threats involved. Douala is the second town in the country to detect cases of the pandemic, and since March, it has unfortunately held strong to the second position in terms of the number of persons infected. Here, preventive guidelines have been recommended to contain the pandemic. Hygienic materials have been or are still being distributed to encourage and promote the implementation. Actions by not only government and government institutions but private initiatives. These assistance weigh less than the population density, and concerns have often been to encourage inhabitants to take the crisis on a personal note while upholding the most basic recommendations: frequent hand washing, keeping social distancing, wearing a face mask and only go out except otherwise. Take a round of some popular sites like markets, streets and even some offices. Only a few have seen the need to fall in line with the measures. Others say they would have loved to, but are strained somehow. So to ease the economy, says the government, as it took relief measures. But today, many in Douala presumed the fight is over and automatically rolled back to routine. The number of infected cases in the country is surging and preventive guidelines are further being relaxed. Today we are counting more than 5,000 cases, but the echo remains less shocking than when it was just a case in the month of March. Many have laid hopes in traditional potions, others in the conviction that they are naturally immune to such a man-made virus. At a time when schools are partially to resume, most thoughts are with the children who will be going back to prepare for their official exams.
Not far from Douala, we make a stop in Buea, where the population has been drilled on how to identify COVID-19 symptoms and what move to take to get appropriate testing and adequate treatment. Health personnel have been joined by FACO Elite and other associations to distribute food items, face masks and hand sanitizers to the underprivileged in order to enable them face the COVID-19 challenge. Tanjong Levis Agbo has the details.
Health experts began with sensitization on the signs and symptoms of COVID-19 and how it is different from the normal flu, especially during this rainy season. The Vasingi community was reminded of the role each and everyone play in checking the spread of the virus and ensuring their communities are safe. The donors handed COVID-19 preventive tools and foodstuffs to the local population with a call for them to diligently protect themselves.
We are all the government and we cannot leave everything to the constituted government. So we, as part of the community, we want to help our people as well, because we know that the government has put some measures in place and it may be difficult for the members of the community to come up with these buckets, the soap, the hand sanitizers, the masks. And so we said that the president has already sent these things, so we should add on to it.
Due to the adverse effects of COVID-19 in all spheres of life, the donors say the items will help the community in this time of difficulty.
This difficult period, there are a lot of challenges that people are facing. Businesses are slow and so on. So we would like to encourage them with food stuff because not everybody has the money to buy those things.
While calling on the population to live responsible lifestyles, caution remains the watchword.
Still in the southwest region, the people of Bamuso in Dian Division have also benefited from the largesse of the Member of Parliament as they struggle to oust the coronavirus from their area. The CPDM member of the National Assembly, Honorable Daniel Ngale Itongo, gave out foodstuff and hygiene material and prayed with the people for the return of peace in Cameroon. Gerard Nanje has the details.
The Member of Parliament did not only come with words of appreciation to the population that voted him for the second mandate, but equally had with him a consignment of foodstuff and a handful of sanitary kits to complement government efforts in the fight against COVID-19.
We have come to tell our people thank you. This permitted me to come with the food items that you saw.
We are very grateful. He has done it wholeheartedly. We are behind him.
In order to encourage academic excellence in his constituency, the CPDM lawmaker has promised to prioritize the award of scholarships to school-going children in his new mandate.
This second mandate will be characterized by scholarship. At least each year, I am going to give 40 scholarships.
The Thanksgiving and homecoming ceremony was used to pray for peace and unity in the country. Presiding over the event, the divisional officer for Bamuso, Isaac Wala, urged the coastal population to respect sanitary measures in order to bar the way to COVID-19 in his subdivision that is yet to register any case.
In a similar gesture, more than 100 face masks have been distributed to Yaoundé city dwellers as part of the COVID-19 fight. The initiative of a non-governmental organization is intended to aid persons who may not have the purchasing power for basic items to protect themselves from the contagious virus. Joyce Tata reports.
The scramble for a face mask is a reality in Yaoundé, an evidence to prove that many so want to observe sanitary rules but are limited financially. A need the Easy Group NGO intends to meet by donating reusable face masks to Yaoundé city dwellers. Vendors, handicapped persons, taxi drivers and street children all in smiles receiving the face mask to help them protect themselves on the streets, high-risk zones. A majority of them were without face masks, but immediately they were given one, it was worn on the spot.
It is an initiative taken in Douala because we thought of persons who need to go out of their homes every day to look for their daily bread. They should do so while protected. Before the end of the year, we plan on distributing 100,000 face masks.
100,000 masks. Pressmen too are part of the everyday workers and so were handed face masks to protect themselves while struggling to keep the public informed at every level.
A consignment of buckets, laundry soap and face masks has been offered to primary and secondary schools in Ayos, a locality in the Centre region. The gifts from the Ayos Council were handed over to officials of the schools in a ceremony chaired by the Mayor of Ayos, Paul Ndongo Biko, a few hours to the resumption of school. Emmanuel Avemnu tells us more.
This disinfection exercise intends to render school environments in Ayos COVID-19 free before schools take off on Monday. No COVID-19 related deaths have so far been recorded in the municipality, and the council hierarchy of the locality has continued to call on the population to reinforce vigilance and the strict respect of preventive measures.
Au niveau d'Ayos, l'assurance est totale.
Prevention at the Ayos Council area is our priority, and daily we struggle to meet up with the phrase, prevention is better than cure. The teaching staff we need to do follow-up of what we have been doing in their schools for the safety of pupils and students.
Les élèves puissent respecter les mesures gouvernementales.
A call well received by officials of primary, secondary and professional schools in Ayos who are beneficiaries of the gifts. She says these gifts will enable them better take care of the children that will be entrusted into their hands come Monday. The gifts comprising buckets, laundry soap and protective face masks have been donated by the Ayos Council that wants to maintain a COVID-19 free municipality throughout this period of school resumption.
Over in the Far North region, House Speaker Honorable Kavege Jibril has enjoined the people of his native Tokumbere to respect recommendations of governments and the World Health Organization to halt the spread of the coronavirus. This was during the donation of a stock of anti-coronavirus material. The event was presided over by the Senior Divisional Officer for Mayo Sava, Louis Florent Achebouem. Ayok Janasho tells us more on this support gesture.
Regular hand washing with soap and running water, the wearing of preventive face masks, and the respect of other barrier measures have become a way of life in Tokombere subdivision since the advent of the coronavirus. To enhance this habit and keep the subdivision out of the reach of COVID-19, House Speaker, the Right Honorable Kavayege Jibril, son of the soil, has put at the disposal of the population a huge stock of sanitary materials and other preventive kits, officially handed to the population by the SGO of Mayo Sava, Louis Florent Ribwem Amumgam. Copying the good example, the Tokombere Council has also added its input in the battle against the pandemic.
We want to thank the House Speaker, Honorable Kavayege Jibril, who start this donation in Tokombere, and then we in council we follow him with some elite of our subdivision to help our people fighting with this COVID-19.
In line with the House Speaker's inclusive approach, some physically challenged persons received tricycles and crutches at the solemn ceremony in Tokombere. While lauding the goodwill gesture, the SGO of Mayo Sava prescribed judicious use so as to keep the deadly disease out of the subdivision.
And now on to diplomacy. The outgone South Korean ambassador to Cameroon, Her Excellency Bok Ryul-Ryu, has been hailed for strengthening bonds between Yaoundé and Seoul. She was decorated Commander of Cameroon Valor at a state dinner offered by External Relations Minister, His Excellency Lejeune Belambela, on behalf of the head of state, President Paul Biya. Charles Ebune tells us more.
This is the first state dinner event for a departing head of a diplomatic mission in the coronavirus era, a diplomatic assurance that the pandemic is under control in Cameroon. And the state dinner held at the Hilton is for the ambassador of a country with one of the best anti-corona track records in the world, South Korea. We intend to expand our cooperation scope to effectively assist Cameroon attain her goals of becoming an emerging country by 2035. To recognize 2 years of Ambassador Bok Ryul value addition to the ties between Yaoundé and Seoul, she is decorated Commander of the Cameroon Valor. The toast praised projects such as the construction of a modern hospital in Garoua, the professional training center which has gone operational and inaugurated by the Prime Minister head of government here in Yaoundé, amongst others, plus the sending of medical equipment to combat coronavirus under the leadership of the outgoing ambassador. Earlier in the day, the South Korean diplomat was at the Ministry of External Relations for a farewell audience. Ambassador Bok Ryul heads back to our country as the Director General of National Integration to manage about 3 million people.
Before we end this newscast, this reading of this press release from the Ministry of Defense. The head of the Communication Division of the Ministry of Defense communicates that on Thursday, the 28th of May 2020, a viral video appeared on the blogosphere of a report by a Togolese television channel dealing with an operation by the judicial police of this country that led to the arrest of 5 Cameroonian nationals suspected of illegal possession of weapons and attempted armed robbery. Arrested on Wednesday, the 20th of May 2020, the 5 alleged robbers, namely Ntanga Mogo Clément Didier, alias Tony, 32 years old, the gang's ringleader, Amajoba Abubakar, known as Ibrahim, 31 years old, Kamini Kevin, 23 years old, as well as Sergeants Umaru Abdul Fadil, 32 years old, and Ewunjo Ele Serge Urbert, alias Tokyo, 31 years old, allegedly tried using firearms to snatch a heavy-duty vehicle aboard with a Togolese businessman in order to satisfy an obscure order. The report states that of the 5 alleged thugs under arrest, Ewunjo Ele Serge Uber, alias Tokyo, and Umaru Abdul Fadil are allegedly non-commissioned officers of the Cameroon Defense Forces. He also explains that the home search of the 5 alleged bandits in Lomé led to the seizure of 2 automatic pistols, one of which was a Tokarev pistol with a 6-cartridge magazine. According to the statements made by the accused, this weapon is said to have come from a certain Esimbi Francis, a soldier serving as weapons storekeeper at the Yaoundé Headquarters Brigade. Initial investigations conducted by the competent services of the Ministry of Defense have revealed that the 3 soldiers who are notoriously dishonest with the service and presumed to have contributed or directly participated in the incriminated acts have already been clearly identified. They are Private First Class Isimi Francis, previously serving at the Headquarters Brigade. The latter had been placed at the disposal of the Territorial Gendarmerie Brigade of Melen in Yaoundé on the 6th of March 2020 for a loss of an important piece of equipment, that is, one automatic pistol, and was subject of a flagrante delicto reports. Before being remanded in custody by the military prosecutor at the Yaoundé Military Court at the Yaoundé Military Prison for violation of orders and for dissipating of military equipment. Born on the 23rd of September 1995 in Bassam 2 in the Soir subdivision, the holder of identity card number 100957911 of the 21st of February 2019 in Yaoundé. The second is Sergeant Umaru Abdul Fadil, service number T11/16829, previously working at the Headquarters Brigade, declared deserter since the 23rd of March 2020 for having, without authorization of relief, left his sentry post at the National Printing Press, taking with him his package without arms or ammunition. He was born on the 1st of January 1988 in Garoua and holder of National Identity Card number 1147884866 of the 3rd of March 2013 in Yaoundé. Petty Officer Ewunjo Eliserge Hubert, born on the 4th of November 1989 in Sang-Melima and holder of Identity Card number 1104229338 of the 5th of January 2011 in Sang-Melima, previously serving in the National Navy. The desertion procedure initiated against him at the time is still underway. Moreover, investigations have established that the alleged gang leader Ntanga Mogo Clément Didier, alias Tony, born on the 19th of September 1988 in Yaoundé and holder of identity card number 110724721 issued on the 29th of September 2010 in Yaoundé, is a dangerous convicted gang member, a multi-reservist sentenced several times to prison terms and currently wanted by the Judicial Police Directorate in Yaoundé, which has registered several complaints of citizens abused by him. It is worth mentioning that as for soldiers, the regulatory, disciplinary and administrative procedures provided for in the taxing force in the defense forces have all been initiated within the prescribed time limits. The security and judicial investigations already opened and conducted by the Military Security Division and the Center Gendarmerie Legion will help to clarify all the contours of these serious acts. Consequently, the Ministry of Defense declines responsibility for the crimes committed by these men who have broken off organic links with the service and are completely detached from the defense service. That ends this edition of the 7:30 News. More news comes up at 8:30 p.m. with Karina Oliviabit. I'll be back tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. God willing. Good night.